Welcome to the Rainbow House Sessions. We are joined today by Amanda Ray Campbell. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to talk with you about Tire Train.
Mm-hmm.
So you have created quite a bit of buzz with your gym, Tire Trained.
Mm-hmm.
Will you share with me a little bit about what it is you do there?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I always try to think of like your elevator pitch, like single line when people ask me this. And it is not just like I train people for a living. I believe that what I really do is create space for people to authentically step into their power. And that's two-sided. Like they feel comfortable being themselves and taking the opportunity to dive into this lifestyle, which is fitness and nutrition, but it becomes much more deeper than that, you know? And I truly give them space to be themselves, you know? And so I believe just like that stepping into their power, it's not just the workout, you know, because then it pours over into every other area of their life. And I watch it happen over and over and over again. So I do train people, but we make impact through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really difficult endeavor.
Yeah.
To encourage people not only to show up for like that first workout,
Yeah, totally.
but to keep coming back.
Keep coming, yeah. And I just thought about like the retention rate of this program yesterday, and it is outstanding.
Really?
Yes. Like not only do people start the program and finish it, but they come back for multiple sessions because there's still work to be done, you know?
How did you get involved in fitness in the first place? How did this become part of your life? Well, a big part of your life.
Yeah, big. Yeah, total career change. So I have dipped into fitness, I would say like 3 different times in my life, personally. The first time was I was 18. I was just going to college to UNI, and I came into college overweight, unhappy with myself. So I knew that people worked out to lose weight, and that was pretty much it at that point. I was successful with it, but I also like took mental note of how great I felt inside, not just the outside, you know? But 18-year-old Amanda didn't really like carry it forward near as much as I have now. So I kind of ebbed and flowed through the fitness world over time. In the latter part of college, I think it was like my senior year, I was struggling mentally for the first time with like anxiety, depression, like a lot of us have. And I knew that that was helpful at one other point in my life, you know? And so I changed my environment. I moved out from where I was living and I dove back into it. And again, I felt much better inside and out. And then I stuck with it a little bit more over the years that time, but not quite as serious. But then 2015 came, and it was the year after my mom passed away. And it was just like a wake-up call. It was like, what are you doing with your life? Like, not that I was doing anything bad, but it was just very like, it's just stagnant, you know, just like paycheck to paycheck, like raising my daughter. And I knew that there was so much more potential to untap, you know? And so I was like, I have one life. I'm reminded of that because my mom just passed away last year, and I got to dive into what I really want to do, you know? And so I decided to start with my health. You know, I dove into this transformation challenge, and I was all in, like totally all in this time. And I got great results, but really like the internal transformation happened for me that time around, you know? And I was like I tell the people at the gym, I can remember exactly like where I was and what I was doing when that happened. Yes. It was the S curves by Quaker Oats. Yes. I was in my car going to the gym, and it's just like, this stuff is way more than just a workout. It's way more than just good physique results.
Well, and you talk about the mental health aspect of this often. One of the most heartbreaking things I have had someone tell me about their experience with being overweight, and this is, you know, chronically overweight, like lifelong. She said, it is a mortal wound.
Yeah.
And I feel like that carried a different meaning than saying even, you know, this could have an impact on my lifespan. It was really about, this impacts me every day of my life. It's not about I'm going to die someday. It's about I am carrying with me a mortal wound every day that I'm alive.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the importance of the mental health aspect of fitness, of weight loss, of health. Because I really don't want to call it weight loss. You know, we're talking about,
and that's exactly
workout nutrition.
Yeah, this is exactly our approach. I do welcome all goals. All goals are valid, I say, you know, but I encourage the women in my space, and I am going to refer to women because mostly women do come to the space. They come in for that reason, you know, and I can relate to this. I started with the same intent, was to change my physique, you know, and it's almost like there's so many mental barriers to even starting. It all relates back to their weight. You know, a lot of these women we do measurement sessions where I'm shifting that to progress tracking sessions because it's this terminology that we use: weight loss, measurements, weigh in. I was like, please don't call it a weigh in. So we talk about progress tracking, and this is where I emphasize the importance of like body composition and what a healthy body composition is versus a healthy weight. First of all, women are lifting weights in my space. And so that narrative of weight loss changes a little bit because you're taking up space differently, you know? And so to get that like weight loss off the mind first is like one of the most important things that I do. You'll hear so many of them say like, I'm not focusing on weight as much as I am, you know, the body composition. And with that, it comes a shift here, and then they feel almost empowered, you know, in a different way, and it pours over everywhere else, you know? And so taking the goal off of just the physical weight of their body and like equating their worth to that is super powerful, you know, and just educating them. It's not about that. Another thing too is I talk about safety and longevity. So like your friend talked about it being a mortal wound in many capacities. But like longevity has everything to do with how we're feeling inside and out, you know? And so that is the priority that we speak about as well. And they start to shift their own narrative when they hear these new terminologies as it relates to transformation.
Well, and words are so important. The way that we talk about and to ourselves.
Totally. And I can even go back to like that second little bout of into fitness that I was. That was a huge thing for me. It was like the way that I'm speaking to myself is outrageous.
Yeah.
You know? And so like it starts there, you know? And so that's another thing that we talk about. Oh, I tell them, like, when they get on the scale, I say this is not an opportunity to beat yourself up. It's an opportunity to just gather some information and make a plan, you know? And so the more times they do that, the more they're like, I can physically see them, like, relax in the process, because it's not about how much weight you can lose or how small you can get anymore. It's about, like, the impact of the transformation internally as it then pours over everywhere else.
As exciting as some of this can be, any transformation, I'm going to do this new thing, as exciting as that can be, there's always, I feel like, an element of trepidation, a little bit of fear around it, a little anxiety around it. You know, I have a good friend who was going to a new gym, and I said, well, I'll go with you and we can just go find the machines together so that you have someone walking with you. I feel like that's such an important part of it. Yeah. And so you're literally walking through this with each of your clients too.
It's funny that you use that phrase, because as I was preparing, I thought about that, is like to have somebody like hear you and actually listen to you and then take you and walk with you, not do it for you.
Yeah.
Because I tell them that on day 0, really, is I draw it out, you know, you've got to meet me here. I'm not going to come over here and get you, you know? So it's a very like fine balance of compassion and expectation, you know, and people appreciate that, you know, and I tell them, you got to meet me here. I don't care if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to know what you're doing, but a willing attitude to meet me here, we're going to be a winning team. And they really feel that because it's real. You know, I think there's a lot of people in the industry, they've been in shape their whole life, and it just is a great career to tap into. But like, it's way more than that. And you'll hear people say all the time, it's way more than a workout.
Now you say that. Do people assume you've always been fit?
I think sometimes, you know, they might. I can just tell in the body language of some, especially like women who don't look like me, you know, women who are 100 pounds heavier than me, they're a little standoffish. But I have a sign on the wall that says, "Come as you are." And as soon as I meet them, that's the first thing I point to. Like, that is there, and I mean that. So all I want you to do is be you, and like do the thing at your ability level, and we'll figure it out from there. So I think they really do grasp onto the fact that I am there for them, and so are the people in the room too. You know, because many of the people in the room, they've been there.
Yeah. Well, and when you say that, there seems to be something unique happening at Tire Trained. Now, I first came across Tire Trained on social media, not because I was seeing any of your business posts, but because I was seeing so many people that I knew posting about being there, posting about how they felt before, during, and after. And that was kind of a roller coaster. and talking about their experience with having outcomes over time, being consistent, showing up, coming back. But I'm also seeing these people who were strangers to each other, who only met each other sweating in your gym. And they're now connecting with each other in other ways. Sometimes it's socially, sometimes they're teaming up to do a run.
Yeah.
How have you seen the work that you do at Tire Train building deeper connections outside of the gym?
I think it's just what I just said. I think one thing is I learned a long time ago in a very short-term job that I had, but I've carried this with me, is like setting expectations. And I think it starts there. You know, it's like setting the expectation of what's expected of you. And then it's like these individuals rise to the level, and then they just have a deep respect for the process, and in many ways, both physically and how it felt for them internally, and how scared they were to start. And like, when they see new people coming in, the expectation is inclusivity, you know. And so remember like where you started, and like, we are all in this together. And so I always say this: everything that happens in the gym pours out over to outside of the gym. And so I agree, it's beautiful to see these people. I see introverted people going to meet me at the market and dancing, doing dance cardio on a Thursday night.
Which is a great time.
Wild.
Great time.
But like, you would have never done that otherwise, you know? But I think it is like the expectations that are set in the gym, the expectations that are reached, and then the people that want to bring others with them on that journey, you know? Like, ultimately, we're elevating our lifestyle, you know, and we're supporting each other through it, because it is not easy. It is not easy. This is not, and I tell them this.
Yeah.
I set the expectation that there will be hard times. There will be hard times. It is not always going to be exciting day one energy, you know? And so, but another thing I say is, throughout the process, you've got to make an emotional connection to the process for it to matter to you. And so like, that's not always happy. That is not always happy. And so if I set the expectation that they will encounter difficulty, they're ready for it when it comes. They know they have the support additionally when it comes, because they know the people in the room are there for them. And so I just think that pours over. I just saw it on the 4th of July 5K or 8K.
Yep.
A group of them got together. I didn't even do it, you know. I went to support, but people were terrified to do this.
Yeah.
But they did it, you know. And it's like, what a beautiful like demonstration of support, true support, you know. And that's where I'm at too, is like authentically and organically supporting one another, you know, not doing it just because it looks good or, you know.
What does it mean for you to have built something that has now grown beyond the bounds of the space that you know, built for it?
That's the goal. to me. And so it's really neat to see it play out, especially as I had mentioned, like we changed the format. We changed the whole model of the business last October, and it was a huge risk and it was a difficult time to go through. But I wanted to expand beyond the four walls of the gym, you know, not just the connection piece, not just connection to connect, but to connect over a common goal. I think that is important, you know, because we can connect just to connect, but why, you know? But it's like they all know they're walking this path to a better version of themselves, and they want to be there for each other, you know? And so we have an app now. And so not only are people in the gym doing the program, they're out of the gym doing the program and connecting to other people through the app too.
Oh, so there's a connection element built into the app as well.
Well, not through the app, but like if you've got two girls doing the app, they have that in common.
Yeah.
And then they have that in common with the main program.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it was the goal. And to see it play out now is just amazing. And like, I just expect more and more of that over time to happen.
Now, the Rainbow House sessions are focused on building connection and bridging the gap in a divided world. When you think about the next 5 years or the next 10, how do you envision accomplishing that in your life and in your work?
Oh, I think continuing to do what I'm doing, for sure. We've talked about expanding it elsewhere. I'm not sure if we'll ever do that physically. I don't think you need the physical space to do that, you know? So I think growing the app, continuing to connect on social media with many different types of people, it is going to be the goal, is to continue to just expand this connection piece over the common goal, you know? And I don't know. I don't really know where it will go. I've dreamt of like doing like larger events, maybe like traveling to do that, maybe taking some of our people, and just really like the energy that you feel is like nothing you've ever experienced, you know? So I've thought about like giving that experience in other places, possibly. But I don't know what that looks like yet.
I like the idea of a traveling show.
I know. I've dreamt of that, and like it would be really neat. I'm a big believer though, like in being firm on your what and your why and your how. You cannot spend too much energy on that. Cannot try to control it too much, because it will show up. If you're clear on that what and why. That's one thing I have really learned about this. I call tire drain an accidental business because of that. Like I knew that I wanted to pass this lifestyle along to other people. And I knew I wanted to do it because it changed the trajectory of my life. But I had no idea how I was going to do that. But it literally happened in my backyard. Like that's where it started.
Yeah.
And like I have just responded to the demand over time, and here we are.
Yeah, I think that's actually the first place I saw it. Is I had a friend who was in your yard.
Yeah.
So I was seeing pictures in your yard.
Yeah, it's so like now the farther removed we get from the backyard, the crazier it is to me.
Yeah.
Like how it's grown, and the mission, most importantly, has grown.
Yeah.
Not just the physical commitment from people, you know?
Well, and I think that, so the person that I saw who was doing it in your yard had some other, over the course of like the following, let's call it 12 months, there were several other things that I saw happening. She started a business. She was doing all of these different things. And I wondered at the time and now how much of that is related to, you know, you don't think as a woman, you know, in the society that we're, you know, raised in, one day I'm going to go flip a tire.
Totally.
But once you do it, well, what else can I do?
Exactly. Like this is exactly what we do, is we give them regular opportunity to challenge themselves. It's physically, but like, does it really matter? Like you get those same opportunities in daily life. And we have a pretty powerful conversation at the top of the session, and this is week 1 of the July session. So we've talked about the A to Z conversation. Like a lot of us, we just have such high expectation of ourselves to go from A to Z in one day, and it's all, you know, and if we don't, we quit, or we, you know, and it's like, I tell them, like, think of a child in your life, and if they come to you and they try something new and they just want to quit, like, what would you tell them?
Immediately, you can't give up.
Right. You can't give up. Stick with it. Keep practicing. You got this. Like, look in the mirror and give that same advice to yourself, you know? And so if they can do that in the gym, outside of the gym, that lady that started a business,
Yep.
it's like, that's scary.
Yeah.
And you can very easily turn your back on that because it is scary. But if you've had practice, like doing hard things, you can take that chance probably, you know? And so I think like all of the things we do pours over in a way that is empowering to try different things, even if it's not the flip of the tire or the press of the bar, you know? So that is what I see as super powerful. And I emphasize that regularly, you know? So I think they make the connection.
For many of us, what propelled us into a life of building community was either the need to provide something that we were missing in our own lives or the desire to pay forward the blessings that we received from others. Do you feel either of these is the case for you?
Yes, I feel both. Yeah. This is a pretty emotional topic for me. So I come from poverty, you know. I don't come from any sort of privilege outside of just being a white woman. We were homeless a couple times as children, me and my brother and mom. And I very much want to provide opportunity for the underdog, if you will. You know, I just talked about this the other day, is I will always, always, always stand up for the underdog. And if that means giving them the opportunity to change their life through something like this, I will figure out a way to make it happen for them. You know, that part is powerful because I feel like what I am giving people is exactly what I would have wanted, you know, whether it's the start of my fitness journey or if it's real life advice or whatnot, you know. Additionally, I've had wonderful experience over time since I've started Tire Train. So I've had a lot of opportunity that I would love to pay forward. You know, people have been very graceful with me. And I would love to put that forward, you know? So I think both sides for sure.
If you could choose 3 people to spend 2 hours with, living or dead, who would you choose and what would you do with your 2 hours?
Okay. What would you do? Okay. All right. The first person would be Eckhart Tolle. So he has written a lot of great books, but I really have gained respect for him through his interviews with Oprah. In a book, they actually went over the book in a podcast. It's called A New Earth. And so he's just a very just introspective, like, thought leader. I've taken a lot of things from him, and I respect his work on, like, the ego and removing the ego, which is difficult for human beings to do, myself included. And so I would spend time with him just like Oprah does and, like, talk through these things. And that's how I would spend my time.
A deep introspective conversation with Eckhart Tolle.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Oprah. Naturally Oprah, because with her, it's because of her humble beginnings. Like, she's gone through a lot of really difficult life experiences, and I have as well. And that's another thing, is it's important to me to show people that you can come out of that and you can rise and you can make something of yourself regardless. Mm-hmm. And so with her, I just want to hang out with her and, like, just see what her daily life is like, and through that talk about where she came from and how she feels about being where she's at today, and kind of how she's navigated that and stuff, like that. So, and a third person, I did think of a third person, but it's slipping my mind right now. Steve Jobs.
Okay.
So he's not living, but he's intriguing to me in general. Like, if you watch any of his, like, talks, he's very, like, business, and I just want to know, like, what's in his brain, you know, like, behind his brand. And so one area that I feel like I can relate is he obviously wanted to connect the world. He created Apple. And so I do believe that he had good intention behind connecting the world, but he was also very business minded too, you know? And so I would love just to tap into somebody's brain like that. Bill Gates is another one. Like, just how does that brain work? You know?
Yeah.
That business brain with good intention behind the business brain. That's the thing too. And I think Steve Jobs is that person, you know? I also am adopting his wardrobe approach. All like neutrals, just to keep it simple.
The uniform.
I know, and I think that there's like meaning to that. Yeah, it takes thought off of something super basic, so you can pour your energy into the things that matter. You know, so he's been one that I've watched shows and documentaries and stuff like that on, and I'd love to spend time with him.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What should people know about overcoming obstacles?
Ooh, this is my work. So I think, and I'll go back to like when we talked about setting expectations. Mm-hmm. I think setting expectations that there will be obstacles is huge, super important. And this is exactly what I do. You know, I tell them there are going to be difficult times that come ahead. You just have to figure out a way to be prepared for them instead of just giving up, you know? You know, one of the things is like how terrified we are when we're trying something new. And I tell them, do it scared, like be scared, be frustrated, be whatever it is. Because we try to run away from these feelings, you know, and we just want it to be a positive, happy experience. That is not where the growth happens, you know? And so I try to emphasize that obstacles are a good thing. You know, we actually talk about failure as it pertains to strength training, but they take that way beyond the gym, you know? And so like reaching failure is a good thing. It's a good thing because you're going to walk away from it with information. This is how I explain strength training. It's like, I'm like, all it is information. You know, because we'll do like 1 rep max a couple of times during the program, and they'll get bummed out if they can't do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's not good or bad. It's non-dual. It can be good and bad. You know, it's good because you're walking away with information for what to do next time or how to train your body in between your 1 rep max attempts. You know, and it's bad because you wanted to make it. You know, and so. Just knowing that it's there and knowing that you're going to encounter obstacles, I think sets them at ease instead of just going into it expecting everything to go like all roses, you know? Yeah. That's not how it is.
When you think about legacy, what do you hope that the people who have engaged with you in this life will take away from their experiences with you one day when you're gone? Mm-hmm. What do you want to be the lesson that's left behind?
That's a good one. I would say like the power of inclusivity is honestly where all of this stems. And so like being an inclusive individual matters, and it doesn't matter where it's at. And it can be tremendously impactful if you just maintain an inclusive perspective. A few of the girls and I took a heat yoga class last session, and
it's humbling.
But it was like we realized how great our abilities in the gym transferred over to this yoga, and our teacher was Gloria, and like she is just in that one interaction made a huge impact on me as a leader, because she used a phrase or a quote, we have it hanging in the gym now, replace judgment with curiosity. Mm-hmm. And so like I think if more people did that, we would connect better and we would make this world better.
That's so interesting, because when I think about yoga, and you speak about her as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I've never thought about the person at the front of the room instructing us on our yoga positions as a leader, but they absolutely are. And maybe that's because, so much of the focus is on gentle tones of voice and, this very calming environment. And when we, the collective when we think of leader, we're thinking of leader, like leader, and, shouting and bullhorns and all that good stuff. How do you approach leadership in the gym?
That's a powerful question. My daughter actually went to the Kenwood Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
One of the magnet schools here. So I actually learned a lot about leadership through her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, through her school and things like that. But what was the question again? I apologize.
How do you approach leadership
at the gym?
Yeah.
I kind of already said it. I tried to strike a good balance of compassion and understanding and empathy with high expectation. So I tell them the best thing somebody can do for you is have high expectation of you at your level. So all I'm trying to do like this first week is get to know them so I can know where to draw that line. And I have an amazing ability to do that with each individual, the person that's up on the pull-up bar that's like this close to getting a pull-up without a band. I'm going to tell them you're not using a band today, and I'm going to just help you and we're going to see what we can do here. I'm not going to have that same expectation about the girl that came in on day one who struggles with the big band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think finding where people are and raising expectation there, but also approaching them and interacting with them with compassion is a critical part of leadership. It's not about me either. That's another thing is like, it's about them and like, what way am I best providing value to them in any given moment in that time frame?
Is that something that you feel like you entered the business with an awareness of, or something that you learned from it?
I am shocked daily that I get in front of 36 people at a time. I used to be terrified of getting in front of people at all. Yeah. So I know that it's my life work because it's so easy for me to do that now. But I've learned over time. So no, I did not go into, no, not at all. I've grown tremendously as a leader because I've gained an understanding through experience.
Yeah.
How do they receive my value best? And so I have adjusted my leadership style accordingly over time with that.
What did I not ask you that I should have?
To get the message across, what I'm doing is like helping people elevate the human experience in general, which sounds like a lot, but it's ultimately what they're doing. I see a lot of life changes that happen with these women, much like you talked about with the friend that you don't come to the backyard. They start to think like, am I living my best life? Am I maximizing my potential? And if not, I'm going to go seek this new career, or I'm going to go back to school and make my life better for my kids. And like, so we really are collectively working to elevate our experience as a person,
It sounds like you do a lot of mindset work.
Yeah.
Clients.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. One of the experiences that happens a lot when people start making big changes in their lives is that some of the people around them may be uncomfortable with that change. Is that a conversation that you have with your clients as well, and how to sort of manage that?
Yeah, I don't really have it on a macro level because it doesn't happen with everybody.
Right.
But the people that it does happen with, they do come to me and talk to me about it. And I do talk with them about it. And I always just refer back to like, this is a process, and, people are going to understand. Some people are going to understand and support you and some are not, and that's okay. Trying to look at things from a very neutral perspective and prioritizing the thing you're doing that is bringing you a lot of benefit, and if somebody is struggling with that, you've got to separate you being responsible for that or them being responsible for that, and it's okay if you don't align. when Tire Train started, I just had my own tires in the backyard. Mm-hmm. So my own personal fitness journey, I was kind of like navigating what to do. And I was like, why can't we kind of combine a lot of different types of training? Mm-hmm. If the goal is just to stay fit for life, you know? So I was like, I see people flipping tires. So I started doing that. And then long story short, Tire Train was born and people were nervous to come, you know? It looked very intimidating. And I was like, okay, how can we get these people to come anyways? Like, you shouldn't be expected to come to a fitness space fit.
Right.
And so that was what I was noticing, was like many of these women were like, I'm going to go to Planet Fitness and get in shape first and then come to you. And I was like, hold up. You should be able to come to me to get into shape. You know, don't worry about these tires or sledgehammers. Like, I will find a way to show you how to do it where you are at, you know, and you will see, you'll be able to do some version of what I'm asking you to do, you know. And so I did start to talk about, like, we will modify, please come as you are. And so this has been in a repeated phrase over time. And so I bought a sign and put it up because that is what this is. You know, being able to come to a space not fit is a big deal, you know, and I didn't really know that as much as I should have, I think, when I started this. So that evolved out of the backyard days. Yeah, the backyard. Literally ground up business.
The backyard, ground up. I like that. I like what you did there.
Literally. I know. I'm like, it's just as wild to me as it is to everybody else. It is. Because we went from the backyard, and I had just thought this would be a summer thing, you know, a secondary, like, side gig. Because I had a pretty limited mindset at the time, too. You know, I was thinking, like, trainers, the market is oversaturated. How am I ever going to set myself apart? So my plan was to not set myself apart. It was just to do this as a side gig. But the universe was like, nope, nope, that's not happening. So this is a good story to share because we were coming to the end of summer and people were asking, like, what are you going to do in the winter? And so my answer was like, we'll probably just pick back up next year, you know? And I lived next door to a church, and they would always see us doing our thing. And one August day, the pastor walked over, and he just asked, like, what are you guys up to over here?
Yeah.
You know? And so I told him, and he's like, well, I'm new here. He had just moved to that church from Baltimore, Maryland, but he was originally from Cedar Rapids. And he was like, I love this. And so I was like, well, actually, I'm going to take the opportunity to just let you know that we probably won't be doing it outside because I'm needing an indoor space. And somebody did suggest to me to see if the church next door would have space for me to use, because I think in, like, Solon, there's a couple ladies that did that.
Yep.
You know? And so I was like, I would do that, but I don't really have a relationship with the church.
Right.
But then when he walked over, I was like, I'm going to ask, and just to see where he's at with it. And so he was like, I would love to meet with you and talk about it. And so we met, and our first meeting was like 2 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. He, to date, has been an incredible supporter of us. And without him, I don't know what the path would have been. You know, because what happened was November 5th of 2018, we started a holding class in the church, in the basement of the church. And I was not optimistic about this. I was like, it's like a church basement.
Yeah.
Where you, like, eat funeral dinner.
Yep.
You know, and house plants in the corner, you know, and I'm like, but I am going to be optimistic and we're going to do the thing, you know. So the New Year's kickoff workout for 2019, we went on a waiting list for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I was not expecting that.
New Year's is a big deal.
I know, but in a church basement.
I know.
You know, I was like, but I took it on. I took those 40 people and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and so it wasn't very long after that I saw my first space. And that was terrifying. Yeah, it was like
that scale up.
And it wasn't even a big scale up. At the time it was, because I was broke. I didn't have resources to rent, or, people were suggesting the Farrell space on Boyce and NC Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I don't have the Farrell's money. Okay. Yeah. So I used my friend who was a realtor, and she found me a space that was appropriate. And this is important to find people who meet you where you are, because I could have sought any realtor that would have just laughed this off probably, but she took the time to find a space that I could afford and that would work for the purpose. And when I signed that first lease, I was like, oh my gosh. But I just knew we needed it. And I knew that I was dedicated to the mission enough to grow it, to support the need for the space. And sure enough, we went from like 5 classes a week to like 18 classes a week immediately.
Wow.
And it was within no time that they were full. All of them were full. And like we had a capacity for, I think, 30 people a class. So then we had another need to move to a bigger space.
Yes.
And so that's really how this went. And it has been a wild ride. And throw COVID in there.
Yeah.
It's like, it's been a massive learning experience for me as a person,
Was the app born of COVID? Is that part of it? No.
Mm-mm. I wanted the app then, I've wanted this. This is an example of the what and the why and the how. Like, I tried to control the how so hard on this. So I study like others that do the same type of thing that I do, and like, what are they doing? And so I put like a mobile version of our classes on our website. Was like a password protected site. It's fine, but like, as we know, that's not convenient.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I just want an app. But you see it as so daunting and like overwhelming, and it's so technical. Like, how can I ever do that? And the investment, it needs to be crazy, But one day, like, one of the people that I was kind of studying, she got an app, and then I looked at like what she was using, and it was a completely doable thing for us to do. The investment was pretty doable, and my plan was already there. My what and my why are always clear.
Sometimes the preconceived notions are the only real barrier.
Seriously. Yeah. It's like, I just like, stop holding yourself back with this, and so I just let it flow, and it's perfect. It's exactly what we needed. So it's like, now even the girls in the gym, they'll use it when they're gone on vacation. And so it's a resource for them, as well as to reach people outside of the gym. I have a girl, she started last session. Now she has a friend that kind of had a poor experience with a trainer. And so she referred her to the app. And so she lives in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And they can talk to me, they can message me through the app, and I'll help them with, questions, modifications, whatever it may be. So it was born in March of this year, actually.
Amazing.
Yeah. Big move. It was incredible.
So if somebody out there who just found out about Tire Train for the first time wants to get involved, what do they do?
Ooh, that's a good question. So we do run the 10-week transformation program. We do it 4 times a year. And so I have a calendar laid out. We just started a session, so our next session will start in October. So between now and then, we will hold pop-up classes periodically. So those might happen on like a Saturday. We are going to do a Tuesday night core class series, and anybody can come to those. So that is a great opportunity to come in, experience the space, whether you want to do the T3 program or not. A lot of people are coming in to see if it be something that would suit their lifestyle. But if it's just something, I have people that go to Orange Theory on a regular basis, but they like to come flip tires sometimes,
So it doesn't have to be a full 10-week commitment.
Well, so the 10-week program is locked in. You need a spot for that. And so that is full and occupied, and we run that at 5 and 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. But these additional like pop-up class opportunities are for anybody. Yep. So the people who are doing session or the people who just want to come in and try it out. Yeah. So like our people in session, they have friends that want to do it so bad, they bring them to pop-ups.
Yeah.
You know, and so those aren't on a regular schedule. So people have to pay attention to our social media for when those come up. But if they want to do our transformation program, enrollment will start August 14th, which is my birthday. It just happens to be my birthday. And so we start enrolling that early because we do end up going on a wait list every time we've gone on a wait list. So, but get on the wait list if it is full, and oftentimes spots will come open. So 2 different ways that people can get involved.
Well, congratulations on incredible success.
Thank you. It's been awesome. This last, since I would say October, it has been a beautiful transition to the new model. The clientele in the room, they're taking things so seriously, and the transformations are just elevating all the time, you know?
I've seen some crazy.
It's been amazing. Yeah, it's been amazing. Another just personal aspect of my leadership journey is I decided to stop drinking alcohol last year, May 9th of last year, and that has been pivotal.
Yeah.
Pivotal. And so a lot of our women adopt that as well. And so, and I don't pressure them to do that. You know, I open the conversation for them to talk to me about where they stand on that and how they want to include things like that in their life. And I love that, you know, just to go in with intention on anything you're doing is powerful, you know? And so, but from my perspective, my departure from drinking alcohol has been a game changer.
I recently heard that there's this movement of being sober curious.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of that before, but I've just never been a person who drinks a lot. So
and we're seeing more people my age. So I'll be 40 in August, coming down with very serious health conditions because of it, because we've got this binge drinking culture that I very much took part in, you know, but I am a changed person ever since I've walked away from it, and I will never go back. So, yeah.
Anything else that you can think of that you'd like to share?
I think I talked about lots.
I think you did awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great to meet you.